and welcome to another edition of Artfully Orange. I'm Vicki Landon, Administrator for Orange County's Office of Arts and Cultural Affairs, and I am here today with Jorden Morris, the Artistic Director for Orlando Ballet. Jorden, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, Jorden, you began your career as a trained dancer, and I'm curious if your family was supportive of this career path or if there was another career that you were considering at the time in your youth.
Uh, Not really. I mean, I started as a gymnast, really. So my parents were used to having an athletic child, that was heavy into gymnastics, and then we had a couple of our coaches sort of come to the boys team and go, "You guys should really go take a ballet class. It's great for your coordination and your flexibility and strength and all that." So a few of us decided we would. Some didn't at all. Um, but I was one of the brave ones, and we went. We went to the Banff Center School of Fine Arts and took a ballet class, and I just fell in love with the physicality combined with the music, because obviously in gymnastics, there's, unless you're doing rhythmic gymnastics or something, there is no music. There is no. It's all an internal tempo in your mind that you're working with. And for me to sort of combine the physicality of dance, which is very much like gymnastics, and then have that musical, which then turns into a creative element as to how you hear that music and feel that music, and does the music, sort of indicate the softness or the aggressiveness of the movement. That's really what fascinated me from the beginning, and that's really what sort of launched my career in dance. And then, sequentially, as becoming a coach and a choreographer and a director as well, is just a life of movement and music. Really, I couldn't ask for more than that.
I love that. And so when I'm thinking about your early career, your first work I know premiered in 1999. That was The Three Musketeers. What is it about The Three Musketeers as source material that spoke to you? Why was that what you decided to do?
That's actually a great story. I had just sort of retired from the stage, and I was teaching in the school, and the director of the school came to me and said, "Jorden, I've got these four incredibly talented boys in the top level. What am I going to do for the year-end show?" And I said, "Well, one, two, three, four. Three Musketeers would be great. You got your Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan." And this was literally an elevator speech that I'd not intended. And he left the elevator going, "Okay, you've got 8 weeks, do it." And that was it. That was it. So I went, "Okay, wait, seriously, is this what we're doing?" And everybody on the staff was like, "Yeah, the director of the school wants you to create uh, a one act Three Musketeers." So I spent that first weekend just going through music and finding all the Respighi and Scarlatti and music that I wanted. And that was kind of, talk about trial by fire, jumping in the deep end. That was really it. And I think because it was on such a tight, I didn't have time to second guess
Right.
or sort of get too freaked out about it. It was like, we don't have time. Let's just let's find some music. Let's put a story together. Let's make a script. Let's storyboard it. Let's get our scenes broken down. Let's get in there and choreograph it. And it came together, just beautifully. And I had such a wonderful time working with those dancers and sort of creating it. So that's sort of how, you know, it wasn't very well thought out or well planned out. It just sort of it was very organic, and it was very very sort of in the moment. And sometimes I think some of the best creativity comes from just being in that moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking too about other high pressure moments that happen in this field. And did I read that the Royal Winnipeg Ballet had you choreograph two pieces for Queen Elizabeth II's visit?
That is
What was
correct.
the pressure like on that project?
Well, that was huge pressure, right? Because you've got, it's your sovereign queen mother visiting the country of Canada. So, it's got to be good. All the pomp and circumstance that goes with that. Plus, there's the Royal Ballet in London, England, probably one of the best ballet companies in the world. So if that's what she's used to seeing, and then to also have the name the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, so you've got to keep that royal standard to it. But sort of similar to what we were talking about, Three Musketeers, was I sort of did some research and found out composers that she liked and things that she liked. And I didn't want to make it too over the top royal and regal. So I really, just went with the two pieces. One was a little bit more lyrical and emotional, and one was really fun. That's with a little bit of a Spanish flair that really showcased our students. And I thought, also let's not give her the typical royal show. Let's sort of show what Canadians are doing with dance at this point in time. And she really enjoyed the performances. So it was, you know.
Kidding. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that one of the pieces was a little more fun because I think, ballet is such a serious discipline. And I know a lot of times you, Jordan, as a person, have a very serious business demeanor, very disciplined and dedicated, but the work also requires like lightness and humor. And so I read that you staged a children's television show into an interactive performance for preschool children. And I'd love to hear about that. And I'd love to hear, what's the silliest piece of choreography you've ever taught or created?
Well, I think it would probably be Toy Castle is sort of where I did start to enter into a more, early childhood learning and how fun and creativity, spontaneity, uh, is really a part of that. So after being in the television series for 3 seasons, um, I did try and make it into a live interactive show. So we added sort of a narrator host. We added a lot of educational components to it, and then I choreographed the stories. And that's where, when you've got a clown and you've got a rag doll, immediately that calls for a little bit of humor and lightness and things like that. So by working with Toy Castle, and again, children are the best audience because they'll tell you if they like it and they'll tell you if
Mm-hmm.
they don't. There is no filter there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So doing Toy Castle and seeing these young preschoolers react and interact. Then when I got to bigger productions like Peter Pan, I wasn't afraid to bring that humor into it. And I think even though, J.M. Barrie was a very serious writer and he was a very serious man, he also had that inner child, that was part of Peter Pan and Wendy and Tinkerbell. So I was able to kind of bridge the humor and the levity, especially for Michael and John and Tinkerbell and things like that. So really, the genesis of Toy Castle sort of fed its way into a lot of the works that I've done since then.
Right. Well, and you've brought so many of these works that you've done since then now to Orlando Ballet, like Great Gatsby and Peter Pan. But I know that you've also done work with Irish folk in terms of ballet, and then you've choreographed some pieces to Leonard Cohen's works. And I wonder what other sort of atypical source material would you like to see in ballet form?
Well, I think what's really nice in this day and age is that we're kind of opening the doors to any idea can be a great idea. Where ballet for a while was very, let's say, restrictive out of maybe necessity at the time, but as we've matured as a society, as we become more diverse and inclusive, but I still think there's some great stories out there. I think The Count of Monte Cristo would be a great ballet. Um, something again more on the fun line, something like a Robin Hood, where you can
Mm,
have some of that humor. You still got your love story. You got your good guy, your bad guy. All the characters are there. So really, I think the human imagination is really the only barrier um, that's going to hold us back from creating newer, accessible works that an audience is really going to enjoy.
Yeah. Now, it's real hard to have a work-life balance in the arts community. We know that. And it's even more so when your partner at work is your partner at home. So your wife, Lisa's the associate artistic director. And I'm curious what you all do non-ballet related in your very limited free time and how you still preserve that sense of it not being work 24 hours a day.
Well, it is, it's challenging at times, and you really do have to put some work and some effort into it. We both really enjoy gardening, and being a Canadian, the things that I can grow in the garden in Florida, it's a whole new world.
For
So we
sure.
really enjoy spending time in the garden. We have two incredibly artistic and uh, performance agile cats that we really enjoy. Um, we have a very close circle of friends that we have met here, and really finding the time to sort of turn off the work switch and do things together. Date nights are very important. you know I used to laugh and think, oh, come on, it's not. But you really have to work it. You got to carve it out of your schedule, and you've really got to commit, to it, um, in order to keep that balance there. You know, on the other
Yeah.
hand, we tend to get a lot of work done because we can work and talk at home and prepare things ahead of time, which sometimes helps us out and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah.
But but you've really got to, yeah, you've got to find those shared interests and those shared loves and those shared passions, and even introducing your partner to something that they've never done, that you really enjoy, the learning curve, that kind of thing. I think it's really just, yeah, being humans together.
Yeah, well, if people want to be humans together, they're on the search for a good date night. They want to see some of your work. They want to support Orlando Ballet. How can they find out information about you, about what's next, about how they can plug in?
Well, people can always come visit us at Harriet's Orlando Ballet Center, here at 600 North Lake Formosa Drive. This is where we house our school here. The company rehearses here. Our fitness through dance programs are here. We do some performances here in our black box theater. Of course, probably the easiest way would just be to go to the website, which is orlandoballet.org, and you'll be able to find out all the wonderful, amazing things that we're doing. See our beautiful artists. See the choreographers that are going to be coming into the city to work with the company and ultimately the community. So yeah, that's the best way to do it.
That's great. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for spending time with us here today and having a chat.
Absolutely, really my pleasure. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on this edition of Artfully Orange. We'll catch you next time.